Good, okay. Okay, we will start the meeting. I'm not gonna use that because I didn't know how to use it last time. Without hitting it like 4 times on the table. Start with a roll call.
Stuart Ward,
Present, nothing to disclose.
Chuck Heisler,
Present, nothing to disclose.
Barbara Hill,
Okay. We do have a quorum. Item number 2, preliminary business agenda clarification and approval.
Al Jensen, Planning Director, Bannock County. There are no clarifications or changes to the agenda. I recommend that the agenda be accepted as outlined.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the agenda?
I move to accept the agenda.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. No minutes to approve. So we'll move on to public hearing items. I guess I need a motion to, you're gonna have to educate me on that one. Okay. Motion to open the public hearing.
I move to open the public hearing.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, first public hearing item is a conditional use permit for a campground. Cameron Salt petitions for a conditional use permit to expand an existing campground, adding approximately 23 cabins, 36 camping spots, and an office building on approximately 59.98 acres. Currently addressed at 11759 East Fish Creek Road, Lava Hot Springs 83246. The campground will be located in the rec zone, and the proposed hours of operation are from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. 7 days a week with a private well and septic. Okay, Cameron, you're up.
I'm not Cameron. Okay, Elizabeth Salt, 11759 East Fish Creek Road. So, my husband and I started Lava Campground about 7 years ago. We've built it from the ground up. We try to provide a good service, and we try to do like a good product when we're building. We try to make everything really nice. Like he said, we want to expand, we want to do...
Sorry.
You're fine.
Sorry.
We want to do 36 additional RV sites and 24 cabins and 1 office building. And we want to make something that will last for generations. We feel that we meet the criteria. The surrounding properties we feel won't be affected because we're already a campground. A lot of the properties around us are campgrounds, and the property to the east of us, it's not a campground, but it is just a vacant lot. Nobody lives there, nobody farms it, nobody grazes it, it's just vacant, and it has been the whole time we've been there. Traffic, we feel like the road coming in, it's a county road, it's permitted county road, so it already allows heavy machinery and trucks to come and go as they please, so we feel like that's already, it's not going to be more harmful than what it's already permitted to do. The public health and welfare, it's going to be at no cost to the public. We're going to do our own septic, our own water, our own utilities, and all that stuff. And then we think it's consistent with the comprehensive plan because it is zoned recreational, so that's kind of the purpose of a recreational zone for something like this. Lava obviously needs more places for people to stay. And then it helps promote tourism for Bannock County. And then we just want to let you guys know that we will, if we do get approved, we will obviously meet all state, local, and county regulations. Do you guys have any questions for me right now?
I do.
Okay.
If you are adjacent to an existing city water line, why are you not tying into an existing city water line?
Good question. We're not actually allowed to tie into the city water line. The city water line comes from a spring above us, and it goes through our property. but it has to have so much contact time, I think that's what they called it. And so when it hits our property, it doesn't have that time yet.
So
And
this
it
is,
doesn't-
this is the flow down to some kind of pumping system that moves it on.
Yeah, so it's like not clean or
You're
something.
you're ahead of the
Yes.
actual water line.
Yes, so we actually can't tie into it, which we would love to do, but
Sure,
we're just not allowed to,
I
so,
get it.
at this time. Maybe someday.
I get it.
And that's something the city told you recently, or
We,
was it when you first started the campground?
probably like, I bet like our second expansion, we tried to see what they could do with like septic and water and all that, and that's what we were told, yeah.
Okay.
So it wasn't like recent, but probably within the last, I would say 3 years.
Okay. And if I understand your site plan correctly, you're expanding. Can you go back to the site plan for me? That thing's upside down. So you're expanding east.
Yes, yes, so like the pink is everything that we have, and that's all like the closer to town. So all the like yellow sites, that's all expansion sites,
Okay.
and it's farther away from town. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you guys do right now for, you have a well
Yeah, we
on
have,
site?
yeah,
Is
we
it
have,
the same well that the house uses?
no, that's a
Okay.
separate well. It's like, it's a well for just the campground. We have one just for the campground, and then we have 2 homes on the property, and then they have their separate
Separate
wells,
ones, okay.
so. And the well for the campground is like, we have to get it tested through DEQ.
So it's a public, considered a public water system?
Yeah, cause we have to like
DEQ.
test it like every, like, how often do we have to test it?
It's a PWS, it's just every month
Once a month.
that we test for it.
While we're open, like if we're not open in the winter, we don't have to test it when we're not open, but.
Okay. And then you have existing restrooms on site,
Yes,
correct?
Yes.
Where's the septic for that? Or how do those work?
I don't know, can I kind of show you guys? I don't know why we didn't put it in the map, but. Like the existing restrooms are right here. Oh yeah, it is on the map. And the septic for that is in this field, and this is like kind of a volleyball area right
Gotcha.
now. So you can probably see it like on the GPS map or whatever, but yeah, that's where the septic goes right there.
Okay. And then those other 2, are those existing restrooms as well, that are for closer to town?
Those are just porta potties.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not like
They don't-
tied to anything, they're just
So you
porta
have somebody
potties.
come clean the porta potties on those ones?
Yeah, 4J's just cleans them out.
Okay. And then you're proposing new septic up
Yeah,
over in the west?
right, so like we would have to, obviously we'd have to talk to the health department, like this is like preliminary, so I don't know like what they're gonna end up letting us do, like what if they're like, no, there's no way you can do a big enough system, like you can only do this many cabins, then that's what we'll do. But yeah, so yeah, we'd have to have septic for the cabins obviously, and then whatever bathrooms, so.
Okay. So have you seen the letter from the health department or DEQ, their comments on this?
No,
Okay. Their letter says that you would be required to do an in-depth nutrient pathogen study for septic out there,
okay,
just so you know. because of the size, because of what you're proposing,
Right, that makes sense.
so.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever, like, we need to go through to like make it what it needs to be.
But you haven't personally talked to them yet? about
No,
what those
no, it's like,
requirements
this is just preliminary, like, just ask permission and then go through that process of getting permits and everything like that.
are. Okay. Do you have any questions, Barb?
Yes. Yes, it's over at the KOA, so it's across the river from us, and so it's a pretty, it's not really plausible for us to be able to tie into it. If we could, we would love to, and we told the city that, you know, if there's any way, we have property in between that and us and the KOA, so we really can't like go through somebody else's to get it to there, and then also go through the river. It'd just be super expensive, and also we don't have, you know, what is it, a right of way to go through there, and so it's just, it's not something they can help us with at this time, but we've talked with them and had city meetings and stuff, so if they ever do, we would at that point like annex and back into the city. So, but right now, they can't provide any city services.
It's topographically difficult too, Barb. The KOA is, I don't know, how many feet higher than you guys?
Yeah, it's higher than us, it's just like, it's just,
I don't know, maybe 80 feet
I'm
higher,
sure like with
100
the
feet
right
higher?
amount of money and engineering
Not that high,
and
but it's 16
everything
feet.
that you could do it, if you had the money and the engineering and everything, then you probably could do it, but it's just, it'd probably be pretty big, expensive project.
And as a point of clarification, so I can help Barb understand.
yeah.
Barb, we have had conversation a few years past relative to the Salts requesting annexation, and the city has denied annexation for exactly this particular issue, that they can't cross the river logistically with a sewer line, and that's the only direction that the city could go to help them. And so we have, for all intents and purposes, an understanding that the Salts will remain in Bannock County and under our jurisdiction for wells, septic tanks, drain fields, etc. Okay? Okay? Does that help?
Yeah, thanks.
Cameron, did you want to make a comment?
Oh, Cameron Salt. I was just gonna.
You, as an applicant, you can come forward, name and address real quick and just share that, if you would, please.
Cameron Salt, 11759 East Fish Creek Road, Lava Hot Springs, Idaho. I was just going to say that sewer system that's over at the KOA is, it's a private sewer system with a lift station that's private, and the city doesn't have any control over it. So that puts a big damper. I mean, if the city, if they would take control over it, it'd be super nice. Cause then you could probably get some grants, and which we'll look into later, so, the city would, to get it across the river later. That's all it wasn't that important. But kind of important.
Then the only other item, if you could answer, for their clarification, the cabins, will they be sleep only? There won't be water or any
So
facilities?
the cabins, our proposed plan would be, there would be those 23 sites, which could be 23 cabins, and we would start off with just probably 12, and then we'll have an engineered complex septic system that would be installed behind them that would be for bathroom overnight stays, in them.
So there
So there
will
is
be
restrooms in the
a
cabin.
restroom
There would be a bathroom
in each of those
in
cabins?
each one of the cabins.
Okay,
But depending on what, DEQ and the health department, once I do the soil sample, I've got septic there at that restroom and had that designed and another one, and so, a good complex system. It'll take up a little bit of land, but not too bad for 12 cabins or 23 cabins, they'll just have to design it as a complex, septic system that would work for that area, for that soil type and to make it work. I mean, you have to get it all engineered,
yes.
make it work.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Not right now. I don't have any more.
I know.
Staff.
Jim Bagley, zoning planner for Bannock County. In your packet before, you'll notice, this has probably a few more conditions than you've been used to recently. This was taken from previous conditions on, CUPs for the salts. And the wording's been modified so they're less, the applicant should do this, or the applicant can consult, they're firmer in their conditions. So like, they'll install this instead of thinking about installing something. So if council wants to look through those, change the words, keep, approve, strike, whatever they need to do. And then just for the applicant's knowledge, the cabins, because in Bannock County, it's one dwelling unit per parcel. So the cabins would not be able to qualify as dwelling units in the building code.
What does that mean?
Because if it has a restroom, I would consider it to be a dwelling unit, or does it have to have,
It's
is there
got-
more criteria?
Has to have more criteria, 3 criteria: sleeping, cooking, bathing. So how big did you say these were, Cameron?
16 by 20.
16 by 20?
Cameron Salt, yeah, they would be, I think that's a little too big, probably you're thinking.
That's what's on your chart.
Yeah, it'll be around 16 by 20 or 14 by, whatever the best plan we'd come up that would make the best
Do you
product.
anticipate to have any type of a cooking facility in each
No,
of
it'd
those?
be like a hotel room, so you'd have a microwave and a toilet and a shower.
We don't have to go to the microwave.
No kitchenette.
Oh yeah, no microwave. Sorry. Portable
Like no
microwave. It's got
stove.
wheels, it's a portable microwave.
But no stove, no oven,
No,
nothing like that?
no, so it'd just be a,
I'm assuming that's what the cooking stuff is, okay. Okay,
So these would not be considered dwelling units by that definition then?
Correct.
okay. Stay there for a second,
okay.
unless, sorry,
No,
just hang out for a second.
no, I'm good.
Do you have anything else, Jim? Sorry.
No, as this is an already existing campground, they're looking to expand. I feel like approval with conditions is the appropriate way forward.
Okay. Question for you. It looks like, to me, a majority of the existing campground and your proposed expansion is within the floodplain. Like a significant portion is.
Yeah, it seems like it goes, do you have the floodplain map? So it's about half of, maybe a little more than half of what the expansion is.
A lot of your cabins are gonna be in the floodplain.
Yeah, so the way that creek, even on the bad year last year, it never flooded. But I think when they done that is, from what I found out was before the 1960s, the big flood and all that, they didn't have the highway there. And so when it dammed up down in lava, there was all those bridges and stuff were collapsed and all the stuff went in the river and dammed it up and it backed up. And so someone back east probably drew the map with the flood map. So actually the highway is in the floodplain, and the highway is about 60, 70 feet above my campground, maybe a little more. And it's probably 100 feet high. It's really high up there, so that it's not really accurate. The creek is about 20 feet drop in it. So there's about, you look off in the creek and it drops down, some spots 20 foot. So it but there's been no record of it flooding from whatever I could find.
Okay.
Gosh, it had more floods than that where the yellow showing inland. You know?
And I know those lines are approximate, but there is a floodplain there.
Yeah. I
So,
think maybe
I'm
we missed it on
concerned with that.
we might have missed it on the map, or whatever, the checkbox. I think I seen that. We might have missed saying it was flood zone or something, but no, it's, yeah, cause there's another house right there also.
Where that
the
star
is, yeah. And that
And I
star.
know that's outside the floodplain.
The house? I think it is in the floodplain.
No, it's built up. It'll be outside the floodplain. The house that's over here where the purple star is,
Yeah,
I
the
think that's
insurance.
outside the floodplain, but.
The star is actually an elevation certificate
Yeah.
marker, so it has an elevation certificate on it.
Yeah, but I think it's
That's all we'd have to do is just get an elevation certificate from the surveyor and then
on each
each
structure.
dwelling, yeah, not each structure,
Every structure has to have one.
every structure. And I've done it with most everything.
So, okay. Just so you're aware of that. That's just a big concern of mine, especially with the proposed septic most likely going in the floodplain, which is an issue. So, anyways, just wanted to talk through that with you. Cause obviously there's certain criteria to put that septic in the floodplain,
Yeah,
if they even allow it.
they do. They actually, surprisingly, they just came up with a new complex system where they're putting them in marshes. I mean, you're talking a foot of standing water, and I'm like, I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
But this is far from that. It'd just be an engineered complex system.
You guys are gonna drill a well, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Or are you drilling a new well or using the existing?
well, I have an existing one there that, the existing for the campground on that site, it's got a lot of water, but I'd have to up the size of the pump and run probably a 4-inch line over to there to run my 2-inch. So I'm pretty maxed out, so I'd have to do another, well and do kind of the same system with DEQ and have it surveyed and figured out. Just a huge process.
Yeah, and I think
IDWR too, right?
IDWR doesn't really have anything, it's just a permit. It's a $425 permit, and then they just have to approve it. They will or they won't, and then, but they usually will.
Yeah, I'm not arguing they won't, I just wanna make sure you're aware of the process. It sounds like you know more about it than I
And
do. so.
DEQ did say that you will have to upgrade your system to do what you're proposing in
Yeah.
that letter.
Yeah, and that,
So-
I was just gonna kinda split the campground from old campground to new campground, kinda, that way, you see a lot of people do a really crappy product, and then they start scabbing stuff together, and they start, tripping breakers and not enough water, so we try to make it sufficient and a good product so it'll last a long time, all brass, all poly,
So, okay. So I Well, we'll talk about that later when we get to that point. Okay. I don't think I have any more questions for you. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. You don't have anybody that signed up? You don't have any papers?
Just Cameron.
Yeah. Okay. So public testimony. Anybody in favor, if you didn't fill out a form, if there's anybody here that would like to still speak on behalf, in favor of this application? Neutral? Opposed? Nobody? Okay. We're gonna go quick tonight, this is gonna be nice. Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Barb, Chuck?
Not me. No, state law will require them to do that probably, so, we don't need to do anything with it. If they don't follow state law, our committee's not gonna, or our council's not gonna impose their will on them, someone else will. So. Well, I mean, it sort of depends on what the facilities are like. You know, if you use that low flow toilets and you've got, I mean, they're gonna be working on with the water that they have. I'm less concerned about that kind of thing, genuinely. I don't think, I mean, we do this a lot, these sort of recreational, units are becoming more and more efficient as time goes on.
Well, I think the concern that I have on that same note is that the letter from the city and, well, the letter from the public health doesn't talk about it, but the letter from the city says that the discharge from this campground, on average, is 30 gallons per day per unit, which is the equivalent of 26 single-family homes. And that's a lot of discharge that close to the stream and that close to the river and in the floodplain.
And isn't that DEQ's concern?
That was DEQ's concern and,
I mean, but
and the health department.
Isn't it their job to review and, moderate that if necessary?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I guess why would we approve something if DEQ's gonna tell them no?
Well,
That's where I'm at is if.
do we
and
know if DEQ's gonna tell them no?
No, not necessarily.
Okay. well,
But
then that's
I
why
would
we-
like to see, a more detailed response from DEQ and the health department on this proposal before we just say yes.
What would you like to see from them? An approval?
Or that it's even plausible, or.
What's it
possible.
cost to go through a DEQ approval process?
Well,
Okay.
the way it works is, you have you kind of get this kind of figured out that it is allowable
Right.
by you guys' blessing, but then
Sure.
when you go to DEQ, they go through and they want it all surveyed, all of it engineered, so you gotta send it to the engineers. So the water, if it doesn't work for 23 cabins, they don't give you the permit at all.
Right.
So you're stuck with nothing. If it does, and it meets their criteria, then, then planning and zoning goes ahead and okays it with knowing that DEQ is okay with it. So it's hard to, to go through DEQ and spend $50,000 to get an engineered water system is to know if it'll be okay here. It's it's kind of going backwards. Does that make sense?
But you're running into the same thing that we could tell you yes on condition that they approve it, and they still say no.
Right, then
Also,
we can't do it.
$50 here.
Then you can't do it, yeah.
Right.
But that's where I'm getting, is they don't require that detailed study or detailed engineering plan right now. You could go to them with your plan, like you have, sit down with them and talk to them, say, this is what we wanna do. And they can tell you yes or no, for even conceptually, with more detail. Their letters say, we don't have enough detail to give you a detailed answer.
Yeah, they won't
And from
tell
my
us.
experience with DEQ, they will do that.
They won't, do that because they'd have to have all the tests done, all the different engineering, they'd have to know what size, how many people are occupying. The way the city comes up with their 30 gallons a day use is kind of, it's tricky because number one, they all have city water, city sewer. So
Well, they're saying that, let me go to the letter. A typical residential house is 70 gallons per day, per unit. Campgrounds creates 30 gallons.
Right.
And they're taking that not from their own system, they're taking that from guidelines from DEQ. And how those systems are calculated, cause there's a
Right.
set, for septic especially, you gotta, this many gallons per person per day for a residential home. That's a set number that is used typically when designing septic systems.
Right.
That's where the city's getting their information.
Yeah, the only thing is with what they go through that it's all full hookups. Ours is just a water and power, so what happens is they only have a 30-gallon tank, so if they're there for 2 days, they're done. Do you know what I mean? They're using 30 gallons a day, they couldn't even stay 1 day, because they're holding tanks.
I understand that, but you also have restrooms
That's on the
and showers, right?
separate, yeah.
So all of that use is the same as if you're using a tank in your RV versus using the toilet that's provided. It's all the same amount of water, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know about
Did the
So-
DEQ approve your other campground?
Yes,
And did,
but they didn't approve it until I had all my ducks in a row with my surveys and my,
but they did.
yeah.
Okay.
So, they just,
I get where you're going with it, Chuck. I have a hard time of saying yes without having all the information. That's all it is.
Okay.
So,
And I'm not saying that I'm gonna say no.
Sure,
I
I know what you mean.
just think that
if you have a concern, yeah, that's,
But I've
I have
got
a concern, and I'm willing to table it until we have that information, and not just say no 100%.
so just for a point of clarification for council too, this is a permit for the use, right?
Right.
So you are approving essentially 25 cabins, some tent sites, an expansion of their current existing conditional use. If in the future, that use, if you approve that use tonight and they can't install another septic tank or they can't get another well or whatever the case may be, now they have an approved 45 sites, whatever the total number of sites are. Now they just do tent and RV sites, or now they do dry cabin sites, or whatever they choose to do moving forward. You're approving the use, you're not improving the entire package.
Understood.
In that process as well, council, remember that you have the authority to grant the salts more time than just 6 months. So if you wanted to grant them a year's time of the conditional use permit to gather all of their information to bring their application into compliance with the Southeast Idaho Public Health Department and the Department of Environmental Quality and Idaho Department of Water Resources, etc., that gives them sufficient time to provide proof to planning and development staff before any permits are issued, and it gives the salts the confidence that they can do this and secure their permits if, as Mr. Salt has stated, they receive approval through Health Department, IDWR, and DEQ. They also then, at the end of that year period, if they have not been able to secure that, they can come and request an additional 6 months, which would give them a year and a half to cross all of their Ts and dot all of their Is and be compliant with all of those other regulatory authorities and bring it into compliance.
Is that a condition?
Pardon? No, it's something that you could grant if you chose to. It's-
Wasn't-
You could,
It would
you
be a
could,
condition, I think.
you could qualify it as a condition,
You just
yes,
lay it in
my
the
mistake,
condition.
yes.
Okay.
Okay?
If we don't, default is 6 months though.
Correct.
Okay.
Which, in light of the fact of knowing in the past, the work that we've done with the salts for their first 2 conditional use permits, this one is probably going to take them more time than what they've done in the past because of the scope of what's been described in the presentation, as well as your concerns and questions.
So one thing that, from if what I understand, is and correct me if I'm wrong, Tristan or Jim, with these sites, like if you have 10 sites right there on the other side, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna build these little cabins on those RV sites. Those are, and this is what I understand, right? They're permitted sites, right?
Campsites.
So I can go get a permit for the cabins. These are just, to make it easier, it's just an RV site. And if I get approved with DEQ, I'll put the cabins. Does that make sense? So,
It doesn't,
Did I-
sorry.
okay, so
Because
I can
if
put,
I understand what you're saying is the existing RV sites, you're thinking that you could get a permit to put a cabin on those sites.
yeah, so I can get a permit from them.
But is that,
So the conditional use permit is for a campground, so if the campsite is a dry cabin, a cabin with a shower and bathroom, a place for a tent to go, a place for an RV to go,
Yeah,
it's a
it was,
campsite.
okay, that's my question. The previous CUP was not specified as, camp, or RV or tent spaces only.
I think it's, I'd have to go back and look at the exact wording, but it's overall an approval for a campground with tent and RV sites. I know there's always additional information in there that's not necessary for an approval of a campground because the salts typically provide more information than what's required, just so that council knows their full plans. But it's not a requirement to approve a campground to specify what the sites are being used for. That will come later with appropriate permitting for septic tanks, building permits and all of that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I could put all the roads and the sites in, and then they could say, no, you can't do it, and then, which, either way, but it's just something a little more, permanent. I like to make a good product, and I think that it would be a good addition to Bannock County, and it's a great tax. I mean, my gosh, tax, we spend at the state, and travel tax, local tax, property tax, all the taxes together is, so important to growth. But it's just what I was saying about those sites, you could put a dry cabin, right? Or any of those sites, I could put a little cabin on those. But I was just trying to make something a little more permanent, a little more, taxing, if you wanna say. The cabins aren't gonna make that much money compared to an RV site, I'll tell you that right now. Like, it's more money to dump several millions of dollars into this to get $100 a night instead of $60 a night. So it's kind of, you know what I mean, if I thought the cabins were the great, I just put every one of them a cabin, but it's a lot of money to do. I just wanted to do something really nice that would, be an addition to the campground.
I have a question for you. What are your current established quiet hours? established quiet hours?
So quiet hours are 10 PM to 8 AM.
Okay,
And then we have security and,
I didn't wanna give you, 2 sets of quiet hours.
no, we try to do the same as everything's, the conditions they put on us, they work. I would just build the sites, and if they could come up with the complex, and my engineer, I mean, he's probably a year and a half out for the engineering, which all they gotta do is look at it, takes 10 seconds, but it takes them a year and a half. And, and my surveyor, he's probably 6 months out. And so everything just takes a lot of time because pencil pushing. And so if they were, it's just a site, that's all it is. I probably shouldn't have put cabins to show there, because it just made it more confusing.
No, I'm sorry.
But I just was trying to be upfront of what it's gonna kinda look like.
I just wanna make sure we got, because one of the conditions in here is quiet hours, and I wanna make sure we match
Yeah.
your existing quiet hours. Or you're gonna have to.
It's just a big
modify the
babysitting
other
job.
one. Yeah, I know, that's the world's most thankless job, I think, in campground, is quiet hours. I've tried to, in the dim past, I've tried to hold people to quiet hours, and it's not the world's easiest job.
It's hard. You gotta talk about their dog, you gotta, they all wear fanny packs, a lot of keys, just different.
Everybody's idea of noise is
Yeah,
different too.
everybody's idea
What's
of noise.
noisy, what's not.
Yeah, their pit bull's barking,
Yeah.
but that's not loud.
Alright,
Okay,
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You guys ready to go through findings, or you wanna discuss more? You ready, Chuck?
I think so.
Okay.
Have to get to them.
There's
Oh,
a
I'm-
printed copy,
Alright, sweet man.
you can have that one, cause I got my own. Alright, where should I go right now? Okay. We'll discuss, Tristan's gonna take notes for us. And, cause we're not the greatest at wordsmithing, so she's gonna summarize our vocal thoughts and then read them back to us. Fair enough? Not my unspoken thoughts. You don't want those. Okay. Number one. The proposed use would not adversely affect surrounding properties to a materially greater extent than would a permitted use in the district. Permitted uses because we're in a rec district, are attached housing, bed and breakfast, circus or carnivals, temporary, not permanent, fire station, golf course, outdoor entertainment, sports or recreation, a park, religious assembly, academic school, or a commercial stable.
I think, based on the nature of the surrounding uses, which at least to the west and the north include campgrounds.
Across the
Right.
highway, yeah.
And the more tourist-driven recreational nature of a lot of hot springs, this is not an unexpected use nor a particularly injurious use to the surrounding properties. Got anything, Barb? I'm using 2 microphones tonight.
Thank you.
Okay.
Are you ready for me to read it back?
Sure.
Yeah.
Permitted uses include things like attached housing, bed and breakfast, fire station, golf course, outdoor entertainment, religious assembly, and commercial stables. Based on the nature of the surrounding uses to the west and north, which include campgrounds, and the more tourist-driven nature of Lava Hot Springs, this would not be materially injurious compared to permitted uses.
Sounds good, thank you.
But you up on the side, we're on track.
Okay, the proposed use would not cause an undue disruption of travel or an extraordinary increase in the volume of traffic in the vicinity of the proposed use.
As a point of comment, council, before you deliberate on that finding, you have approximately 23, 39, 50, 36, 59, 60. You have approximately 60 new spaces. If you were to assume that each of those had a vehicle and that people would come and go approximately 3 to 4 times a day, you're creating somewhere between 180 or 240 trips in and out of the campground. I would suggest that you ask Mr. Burmester, Director of Public Works, relative to road standards, if that is a materially greater or extraordinary increase in the volume of traffic in this vicinity.
No, not where, Kyle Burmester. Not how it's situated, it's got a road that's, built to the standard for that amount of traffic, which easily connects right to a state highway. So,
The road to this from Fish Creek is gravel though, correct? And it's private? It's paved all the way?
it's paved as far as we maintain.
Yeah, the county road is paved.
Yes,
But how far do you maintain it?
down to that first.
First house right there?
Yep.
Where it says Fish Creek?
And it doesn't go like, this traffic won't be traveling through, residential area or anything like that. It's pretty well just a short jog onto state highway.
Okay.
Oh, I'm not happy from a state point of view, but I'm not happy, so that's a different problem. 200 and whatever it is, an extra 300 trips a day. We won't notice. People coming in and coming out, need to be careful though. How's that work at US 30? I don't remember what the site is. It's pretty, the site distance is really good on the US highway there, isn't it, on 30?
Yeah, that one's not bad.
Yeah.
You have a pretty good sight distance, but it is higher speed travel, so it is
Well,
That's right, where everybody's speeding up to go up the hill.
Yeah, not on the eastbound, because they're only going 35 miles an hour. Trying
but,
to get up there.
so there's, safety risks to any time you're entering a highway like that.
Right.
Findings, anything formalized in regards to language?
Sure. The proposed use would not cause an undue disruption of travel or an extraordinary increase in the volume of traffic in the vicinity of the proposed use. As vehicles of that nature are regularly using that part of the highway already, they do not present any extra stresses to the highway system, and the number of trips is not sufficient to trigger any significant needs to adjust traffic, or to adjust roads, etc. Including, as with discussion with our friend from the highway group. Speaking of highway, county highway, ops, what's your name here? Road and Bridge?
Road and bridge.
Yeah, as discussion with Road and Bridge.
So what level of extra traffic would become from Road and Bridge standpoint, and what would?
If, one thing we would be looking at is if this was a gravel road, to where this amount of traffic would probably move it up to needing to be an asphalt road, that would be something that would be a condition on this if that was the case, but with the road being 12-foot lanes, asphalted, no major issues that I see of it.
That's a road travel road too.
Interrupting any of our current travel. Yes, it's a low volume road that it's connected to. The only thing I can see is on like the state connection, they don't like to give approaches to the roads often and.
Oh, we bought the.
But this,
access to that
but
road.
this level, or this increase, proposed increase, potential increase, I should say, doesn't bump that portion of Fish Creek Extension to the next classification at all? Okay,
No.
that was my main question. Okay. Will you read
Ready?
back what you have?
Vehicles of that nature are regularly using this part of the highway and are not adding stress or an extraordinary increase to the traffic system. Fish Creek Road is currently built to support this increase in traffic according to the Public Works Director, and Fish Creek Road has direct access to Highway 30. Fish Creek is already paved, is low volume, and traffic wouldn't be driving through a residential area.
Public Works Director or Highway Road and Bridge?
Public Works Director.
Oh, that's you? You're the Public Works Director too? Dude, you're it. I didn't know that. It shows what I know. I've only been hanging out with you for 2 years, man. I don't know what your title is.
Okay. Anything to add, Barb? Okay. The next one. The proposed use. This one's a hard one for me because of the footprint,
Proposed
but
use.
I know.
I've got this one. Can we do this one?
Sure.
The proposed use would not damage public health, safety, or general welfare within its vicinity, or be materially injurious to properties or improvements in the vicinity. Proposed use matches existing adjacent uses, is common in the area and in the region. State laws and state agencies will provide all necessary enforcement of state law in order to prevent any form of material injury based on this use. Or something thereof.
That was, yes, that was good.
Okay, proposed use matches existing adjacent uses, is common in the area and region, and state laws and agencies will provide all necessary enforcement to prevent material injury if use includes the installation of wells and or septic systems.
Sounds good.
Okay. Next, the proposed use would be consistent with the goals and policies of the comprehensive plan of the county. And
As stated by the applicant, to promote tourism and to add to the tax base.
What do you think, Barb? You good with that?
Instead of as stated by the applicant, can you give me
do you
that
want the
objective?
objective?
Yeah,
That's what I was looking for, objective 4.4. And policy 4.4.2.
which one is that?
Work to attract industry and business opportunities as well as outdoor recreation to help promote tourism and establish economic resiliency.
Which one's that one?
Is that you back there, Claire?
Oh, right. I like 2.2 as well.
2.2. Objective 2.2.
This use would promote tourism and add to the tax base as stated in objective 4.4 of the comprehensive plan, policy 4.4.2, and objective 2.2 are also consistent with these uses, with this use. And I actually typed out verbatim each of
What's
those.
those saying? Okay. You guys good with that?
Yep.
Okay. The last one, proposed use would be designed to be compatible in terms of building height, bulk, scale, setback, open space, and landscaping with adjacent uses as is practical.
As required by state law and county ordinance. Right? That's what they have to do, is meet all the building codes. Follow all the state rules and regulations in regard to development.
So, Chuck, do me a favor, and in your findings, will you talk about the adjacent uses, because that's what it's specifically talking about.
Oh, okay, well, the proposed use would be designed to be as compatible in terms, would be compatible in terms with other adjacent uses,
Which are,
which are
Campgrounds
campgrounds to the north and to the west.
Thank you.
right? And, will be required, see, that question is so, I hate that question. The question always is the same damn answer.
You don't have to identify building height, et cetera.
Okay.
It's just
the
compatible with
adjacent
adjacent
uses.
uses is a defensible position.
Go Beats.
Okay?
I feel bad, I'm just trying to figure this out.
Maybe you should stay on.
You can re-up still.
I don't have it in me. I
Okay,
wish I did, because I like y'all.
We tried.
Yeah.
alright, sorry, we do read what you have.
Yes, the adjacent uses are compatible with this proposed use with campgrounds to the north and west. The proposed use will also adhere to all other county requirements.
Okay. Perfect.
That's the wrong one.
Conditions.
Before you go there, I've written
Yes.
some notes based upon your concerns. Some items relative to conditions. Before we move too far forward, I do have a question for Mr. Salt. Cameron,
Cameron Salt, 590 East Fish Creek Road.
based upon your past experience in working with your agencies, Public Health, Department of Environmental Quality, IDWR, is a year going to be sufficient time for you to secure approvals that you can provide to us?
Probably not. I mean, I'd probably just, the time thing's really hard because I can only push these people so fast.
Okay, so
And
if
it's a
we were to grant you 18 months with a potential of a 6-month extension, which would be 2 years total time.
I don't know. I mean, it's a several $million project. It's just one of those things that has to be
Council,
pounded out.
if you remember,
Just to help really quick too, that 6-month expiration, it gives 6 months to apply for a permit. So, for the project.
Not to build it.
So if he applies for an excavation and grading permit to start creating the campsites, if he applies for a development permit to start working on power and water pedestals or something like that, that would be considered a permit. Now the use is established and is running with the land, so.
So this would be a several year project or whatever.
Well, 18 months ought to be enough time to at least get the engineering and groundwork done and start laying out roadways and stuff like that.
And that was my next question for you. For those permits, what do you require before you issue those permits? Like, do you need the grading plan for the excavation permit? Do you need the engineered, I would assume you would need the engineered water system for any water improvements going in, all that kind of stuff,
Yes.
so.
Yeah, so for an excavation and grading permit, it would just be a site plan, deed, and that's pretty much it.
But that would trigger.
Scope of work.
That would trigger start of work.
Correct.
So 18 months and a 6-month extension seems like a really, I don't know what I'm talking about, dude. I know, but to get started, I mean, I don't wanna go like 5 years into the future and have people who've never heard this have to hear it again. And then you have to put up with people who've never heard it.
Well, I think that's what staff is saying is if within 12 months or 18 months he pulls an excavation permit.
Right, yeah. Then he's good, but
Then he's
but
good.
I'm getting hesitancy from him on being able to pull an excavation permit in 18 months.
Well, with that and several millions of dollars to investors.
We'll be pulling the excavation permit like within months. Like the
Well,
excavation.
Cause that's
It
just for your
it could-
roadway stuff, not for your septic or your water or anything
Right,
like
right.
that. That's just to build your roads.
Yeah,
If you think you're gonna have that within the next 12 months, at
Just
least,
the
then,
excavation part.
then we would, cause that would, if I'm understanding
What are-
staff correctly, pulling the excavation permit triggers that you have started work on the project and then the CUP doesn't expire.
oh, so, I guess I
So
understand.
If we pull an excavation permit, that means the work is started. If all the other permits and stuff doesn't have to be started, as long as we're starting some.
Oh, just
Somewhere.
start something,
Yes,
okay.
which we will be doing.
She's the boss.
The only concern that I would have is if you go get your excavation permit next month and build all your roads, and then you work on your DEQ and all those, and then they tell you no.
We would just
You
make
know
them
what I
all
mean?
sites and, yeah,
Then your plan might change, and so just as long as
yeah,
everyone understands that, then I think we would push it out for 12 months.
I'm okay with that.
Cause that gives you time to do.
With the 6
excavation
month.
And maybe everything else.
With the
With
6-month
one,
update on the end of it, yeah.
and it's only one
So
6 month extension.
is that saying I gotta get the engineering done and everything?
No,
Oh, that's just saying I gotta start,
correct, yes.
oh,
It'd
I
be
know how to
similar
start.
to what you did
okay,
the first time around, you got an E&G and started grading and
Okay.
graveling your roadways and camp spots.
okay,
Your engineering may take 14 months to get done, but as long as you pull one permit before that expires,
oh, yeah, that's fine,
that's what staff's saying.
okay,
And Cameron, the concern that I have from my end is that an excavation and grading permit is granted, okay? And you go put the roadways in and you have your stubs and your slots for all of your
Yeah.
spaces. And you don't receive any of these approvals. You still have an expanded campground, but all of your new spaces are dry spots.
right, okay,
Does that make,
Right.
does that make sense? I mean, if you're denied by one of those jurisdictions,
I still have the excavation.
you
that's
still
not
have dry
spots.
spots.
And you still have
available.
conditional use for the camps.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
then I ain't gotta deal with horses anymore,
Yeah.
no more horses.
So, yes, my recommendation based upon some of our concerns internally with staff, building permits, et cetera, I would say 12 months as a condition, grant 12 months of the CUP and one 6-month extension if needed. Okay?
You good with that, Barb? Okay.
I'm going to throw a couple of things out and my team can tell me yes or no, on whether or not we recommend these as conditions for you to consider. Applicant will work with staff to resolve development within the floodplain. Work with Southeast Idaho Public Health for new septic systems to receive approvals. Work with Department of Environmental Quality to receive approval for community water system and show proof of certified water system manager. And then the 1 year of conditional use permit approval with a 6-month extension. So, are any of those others required, or are they just by nature of him applying inherent in the permitting process?
Any of The
Any
ones
of those
in,
items that I, outside,
I would say only the last one is anything that needs to be conditioned.
Okay.
The others are already regulated by law.
perfect.
And that was the floodplain one, is that right?
Floodplain,
Floodplain is already required
Health
when you're
department.
building.
DEQ.
Health
on the
department,
system.
DEQ, those are all
The last one's
already
water management.
required.
What was the last one?
Work with DEQ to receive approval for a community water system and show proof of certified water system manager. I don't know exactly what the terminology is, but once you get over X number of connections, it becomes a community system.
Oh, right.
And once it becomes a community system,
You have to have a manager for it.
he has to have somebody that's certified to manage that water system.
Right.
And he would have to go through DEQ training.
But that's state law too, right?
It is, but
Right.
I don't know if Mr. Sullivan's aware of, with this expansion and additional water connections, if he's aware of that that's coming his direction.
You become the manager of a water system.
Yeah, I mean, I kinda am the on the thing, every month I do I am the manager. But I think it'll be on two separate parcels, so, it'll be a whole new PWS system. So when the new PWS system, it won't add all those that are already on a PW system. It'll be on its own PW system.
Okay.
You're
So-
drilling a new well for this
So it'd have to-
expansion,
yeah.
not expanding the existing well.
Right, so, yeah, right, okay.
So we then wouldn't need that last one?
No,
Okay.
you would, for the simple fact that he's over a particular number, and I believe that once you exceed something like 16 or 20, I don't know exactly what that number is, and with his total numbers here, he's almost 60. So he'll
I
need
don't
to
mean-
work that through with,
I don't mean he wouldn't be required to do it, I mean, do we wanna add that as a condition?
no.
Okay, that's what I'm
You
saying.
asked the question,
Yeah.
and so I wanted to clarify.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that was good.
So the only other condition outside of those that are found on, page 6 of the staff
6 and
report,
7.
there's 11 of them, and then add the 1-year conditional use permit approval.
Right, and I would like to modify, number 2.
Hours of operation?
It's established quiet hours.
Okay,
There is not an hours of operation on this.
that's what I meant, but
Right, yeah. The established quiet hours, I would like to change from 8 to 9 to 10 to 8, 10 PM to 8 AM. To match existing quiet hours.
And you want condition 1?
Yes. Well, wait a minute. Does he have condition 1 going now? I don't know that that condition was on his original campaign.
I think that one was
Was that?
one of those recommended ones previously, and now it's more of a requirement.
Do we wanna recommend it? Or do we wanna require it?
Well,
I would say
think
you
it's
either require
required.
it or you don't.
Or drop it, right? Yeah.
And it's required per
It
section
doesn't make any
485.
sense for privacy's sake, because the road, he'd have to plant redwoods to keep people from seeing him from the highway, and there's nobody adjacent to him. Right? I mean, well, no, there's a house, there, do you own both houses that are there?
yeah,
Are they both yours?
mhm,
Well, then you can decide if you want to be private or not, right?
yeah.
Okay,
You got the Jake breaks.
okay. Well, yeah, but that's not gonna help us.
Wow.
Yeah, you can't plant enough trees and stuff that way.
That's my white noise for night.
Is the code that's referenced, that's zoning, right?
Mm.
485?
I think I'd just drop that one. I mean, I'd like to see you plant a buffer, but I don't know that I wanna require you to plant a buffer.
I love planting trees. I planted over 500 trees.
But But does it have to be buffered just from uses? Help me understand this thing.
The only neighbor he's gonna annoy is himself. So. I think we do this in a situation where there is adjacent housing and other adjacent uses that are different. And where, like we saw that one up on Mon Road where they wanted to put the campground in and there were all those houses adjacent to it. And that's a place where I could see requiring a vegetative buffer to prevent people from looking back and forth at each other over the fence or whatever, and to do that kind of thing. In this situation, there's no neighbors per se.
Right. And that's what I was trying to figure out,
But,
'Cause
I
I know
mean,
sometimes
I'm
it's
fine with
between
leaving
uses.
it, if you guys wanna leave it, but, maybe I'm fine with leaving it rather than discuss it anymore. What do you think, Barb? Yeah, right. Yeah, I agree.
okay. You guys okay with the rest of the conditions?
Is a flood? Yeah, I have two, the only one I have a question about is, go ahead, Barb. The only one I had a question about was the flood warning system. Is that something that's required?
So,
There
to
you go.
answer that, you should think about this on the previous CUPs for the campground, is you should think about installing one of these. So, I changed the wording on it to, you shall do this. So if you guys don't want it or you think it's irrelevant, you can strike that condition.
I'm sorry, I'm coming a little late. I'm the property owner on the south side of the campground.
We're past public testimony.
Oh, you're past public.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would you envision that being, Jim?
In the brief amount of research that I did on them, it's what it looks like is there's almost like in a fish tank, you have a leveling gauge.
Right.
And so it's installed at a certain height. Once that goes over that height, it's an alarm system. It would notify people in the campground that, a flood.
So it's like a siren or something?
Yeah, something like that.
And he has to install that in the creek?
From what I understand, it's either in or near enough.
Adjacent to the creek, and on the creek bank or something?
Yeah.
So when the creek reaches a certain level, that screeching goes off?
Yeah.
And presumably everyone remembers what it's for?
Yeah, and if it's doing that there, that's a lot of water moving through there.
I don't think that's a bad idea. I guess my only concern is I guess they just go uphill.
They would have to
They would go to the east.
Isn't that the way Fish Creek runs?
Yeah, Fish Creek runs.
Right, so they wouldn't,
east to
they
west.
wouldn't go east, because theoretically it's flooding from that direction.
Well, they need to go upstream.
They'd have to go south up the mountain to get away from the flood.
Right.
No, you're talking install or evacuation?
Yeah, well, installation would be in the east end, somewhere up here,
Yeah.
somewhere down here. But the people, that's my question.
Well, that's condition number 4 is a posted evacuation
Oh,
plan.
okay, yeah, all right, yeah, I think those two tie together, I'm fine with that.
So my only question for staff is the floodplain. Would they be required to do a per ordinance? Are they required to do a floodplain study?
No,
Why not?
because they're not subdividing.
I don't like that.
I know.
I don't like that. Okay.
Okay, so I think we've amended we've done away with number 1, and we've amended number 2,
And we're okay with everything else?
and I'm okay with everything else. Yeah. And we wanna add 12, which is, increase the conditional use, the time to draw the conditional use permit? I don't know what the language was.
The conditional use permit will expire in 12
Oh,
months.
12 months, okay.
With a one
One
6-month extension if needed. I don't know if we have to add that.
You don't, but we can.
Okay.
Do you want it?
Yeah.
Let's be clear.
Clear and concise, right? That's what we need to be. Okay. Any other conditions, Barb? Okay. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, ready for a motion?
Is it a motion? Or is this, oh, yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Based on the record and discussion this evening, I move to approve the request by Cameron Salt for a conditional use permit to expand an existing campground as described in the application materials as supplemented with additional information attached in the staff report and according to testimony received, and to adopt the proposed findings and order for signature by the chair or vice chair with the following conditions. Let me read those. Okay, except the last one because I don't have it. With the following conditions, I read it back there.
Because you didn't actually read them into the record originally.
No, okay.
Okay.
Establish quiet hours from 10 PM to 8 AM. Fire pits or rings must meet fire code safety after an inspection by the local fire district. Documentation to be provided before opening a business. A posted flood evacuation plan on site. Outdoor lighting will be directed downward and shielded. Pole-mounted lights shall not exceed 15 feet in height. Number 6,
Can I stop you right there?
You bet.
Sorry. On number 4,
yes.
do you want to specify that it's a flood evacuation or just evacuation? 'Cause it can-
I thought about that after I said it. Probably should say number 4 will be posted evacuation plan on site.
Yeah.
Number 5, outdoor lighting will be directed downward and shielded. Pole-mounted lights shall not exceed 15 feet in height. Number 6, a flood warning system shall be installed before opening of business. Documentation of proper installation required before the opening of the expansion. 7, on-site management required during hours of operation. 8, recreational vehicle parking will meet a setback of 30 feet from stream and riparian areas. See previously permitted variance standards. Number 9, 20-foot driveway width for the entirety of the expansion. Number 10, posted directions to the nearest approved sanitary dump site for recreational vehicles. Number 11, campground development and improvements will follow Idaho Department of Fish and Game suggestions in the publication, quote, "Living with Wildlife," end quote. And number 12,
Conditional use permit will expire in 12 months with one 6-month extension allowed if needed.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. No other discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Chuck Heisler,
yes.
Stuart Ward,
Yes.
Barbara Hill,
Okay. Motion carries 3-0. Okay, you're good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Get back.
Yep.
Sorry about that. Just got my
Should have addressed their sewer.
agenda.
They have a problem.
It's on my agenda. Okay, agenda item number 5, transfer of development rights. Pursuant to section 465 of the Bannock County zoning ordinance, Gary Johnson proposes the
Hey.
transfer of development rights from.
I interrupted, I had to interrupt one more time. I thought this was a different campground. I thought this was a hotel correction.
Oh, no,
My comments, ignore them.
thank you. Where was that? Okay. Transfer of development rights. Pursuant to section 465 of Bannock County zoning ordinance, Gary Johnson proposes the transfer of development rights from parcel RPR 3805002000 to parcel RPR 38050020. You got that one wrong. It goes to,
It's the same parcel number.
it is the same parcel number? Oh, okay. From one parcel number to the same parcel number. That's confusing, okay. Okay, one parcel is 433.33 acres and is located in an ag zone. And this is a recommendation to the county commissioners. Okay, applicant.
Mine's pretty easy. So we're transferring,
Name and address.
Jose Nava, 1299 West Drive, Hotel. Transferring 2 division rights from, 2 40-acre parcels down in the southwest of Gary Johnson's property there. The current 40 acres there, fall near the shooting range there. Not suitable for building. It also falls within a kind of a drainage way. And we're trying to transfer over to basically the same parcel now, but will be adjusted in the future over on the northeast corner there, as per the map. He's trying to create 2 buildable parcels for his son.
Okay. So there's one in each of those 40, and you're transferring them up to
The 2 smaller,
to like 1.5
acre.
acre
Correct.
pieces.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Seems pretty clear to me.
Very straightforward.
We go back to the parcel map, or I just want to look at something real quick. Oh yeah, that's got that big cliff right in the middle of it, doesn't it? Okay. Okay. Any questions for the applicant?
I do not.
Okay. Perfect, thank you. Staff.
Jim Bagley, zoning planner, Bannock County. As was sort of mentioned before, they're moving these development rights from 2 40-acre pieces up to these 2 approximately 1.5 acre pieces. So they can move those development rights to have the houses be clustered near the other houses. I had BLM stop in the other day, and they just wanted to inform the applicant and the surveyor about some stuff that was going on, because BLM is just adjacent to them to the east. They had one survey that said it was here, one survey that said it was here, so that they said they were gonna contact Mr. Johnson. I don't know if they did or not, but I just wanted to make everybody aware that BLM's been in and they like it, but there's just a little strip that they're concerned about on the east side.
Yeah, that's a mess. Okay. Any questions for staff?
I do not.
Okay. Anyone here for this one?
Just Gary, again.
Gary, do you want to testify?
Well, Gary Johnson, 9112 West, 2.5 miles. The reason we're doing this is those 240s down below are adjacent to 2 gun ranges. And chances of the development on those are like next to nothing. And so that's why we thought if we could move it up there, because you don't wanna build a house down by a gun range.
Right.
So that's the main reason that we're doing this.
So your son's not gonna beat you up if you don't do it, you're voluntarily doing this.
Well, actually, it's my daughter, it's
Oh.
even worse. So,
I'm just kidding, man, it's fine.
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Okay. Anyone else in support, neutral, opposed? Okay. Bring back,
Page 68.
okay. We just did one of these last week.
Yeah. Just don't remember any of the language.
It's pretty straightforward. We'll work through findings quickly.
I can do the first one.
Should go quickly. Okay,
The transfer of development is wholly voluntary. Council discussed this with the property owner. He agrees that he is voluntarily transferring these rights.
So I have the property owner has stated through the application and testimony that the transfer of development rights is voluntary.
So much better at that time.
perfect. Okay, number 2, the sending and receiving properties are within the ag zone. And that would be based on the county zoning map?
Yes.
Is that the right wording there? Okay. Number 3, the receiving property does meet all of the requirements for development as outlined in Bannock County ordinance.
Once it receives this right.
So
But
similar
outside
to,
of that.
yeah, so similar to last week, it's in the agricultural zone, the minimum lot size is 1 acre. So once these
This is
lots are
exceeds 1
created,
acre.
they will be greater than 1 acre in size and
Yeah.
so I have the receiving properties will exceed the 1 acre minimum lot size requirements in the agricultural zone and will meet all other development standards when applying for additional permits.
Perfect. Number 4, the sending property does qualify for a building permit. It's in the ag zone and it's a 40-acre parcel. Or yeah. That's right. It could be a government lot though, or an Alcoa park, either way, right? Either wording works for me.
So I have the sending properties in the agricultural zone has a development, right, and is over 40 acres in size.
Yeah. Okay. Number 5, the transfer of the right from the sending property would preserve prime farm ground, eliminate residential structures in undesirable locations, including floodplains and steep slopes, would preserve open space, or preserve land that is critical to wildlife habitat.
I'd say that this parcel meets all of those qualifications. It's, some of the portions of it are prime farm ground, portions of it are steep slopes, portions of it are open space used by wildlife to move back and forth when there's no shooting going on. And portions of it are undesirable for residential because of the shade.
Yeah.
Lose my voice, man.
Okay, this transfer would preserve prime farm ground, areas with steep slopes and wildlife habitat, and would eliminate structures near the shooting range.
That's much better than what I said, thank you.
Perfect.
That's what I meant.
I know.
Okay.
You may not know it, but I do a lot of writing and it all comes out clear, but it usually takes about 2 hours. You guys are really expecting me. I express a lot of thought through conversation and you don't want to hear all that.
Okay, anything else we need to discuss, or are we ready for motion?
I'm ready. You guys are ready?
Okay.
You want me to do it, Barb? Okay. Second.
Can I amend that slightly? To transfer development rights instead of a development right, because we're transferring 2 of them. Do you accept
No,
that?
that's good. Absolutely. Second.
Okay. Okay. Roll call, please.
Chuck Heisler,
Yes.
Stuart Ward,
Yes.
Barbara Hill,
Motion carries 3-0. You're approved. Thank you.
Well, you're recommended.
Well, yeah, recommended. County commissioners will hear it as well and make the final approval.
When will that go?
I don't know.
So we'll send all of the information over to them this week, and then it just depends on how quickly they can get everything scheduled, and then we'll just let you know through the application, and we'll send an email as well to both you and Jose, letting you know when it's scheduled.
Okay.
Potentially within 3 to 6 weeks, depending on the commission's schedule, Garrett.
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. That was the last public hearing item. Just need a motion to close the public hearing.
I move to close the public hearing.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Gonna move through these last ones, or do you guys need a break at all?
I'm good. Let's do it.
Okay. Alright, first business item is preliminary plat approval for South Hills subdivision. Jonathan Vincent requests preliminary plat approval for tax parcel RPR 401-3005704 in accordance with procedures and standards established in subdivision and zoning ordinances, and this is a decision. Do we have a presentation? No. Unless we have questions, then, okay. You're just a visitor today.
Nice.
Lucky you. Okay. You guys have any questions or concerns about this one?
I didn't see anything that caught my attention.
I did it first, but then I found it because they were hidden. Staff was trying to hide them from me. It's not in the logical place where I would find them.
Sorry, I don't look like you, Stuart.
Sorry. Oh, I do have one question for you, if you could just come up here, thanks. It just popped in my head.
Jonathan Vincent, 975 East Pidcock Road, Income, Idaho.
Okay. I remember on the concept, the neighbor to the north, that transitional housing thing, she expressed concern, property owner expressed concern about this residential use being next to that because of some conditions that they had on their agreement. Did you ever talk to them?
So I talked to her after the meeting in the parking lot, and she was gonna look into it and get back to me. I gave her my information. She never really followed up, so I took that as she looked into it and it wasn't gonna be a concern.
Okay.
So I gave her my information.
Okay, and you just never heard back?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that you guys had at least tried.
Yeah, we switched numbers and, yeah, I think she looked into it and everything must be okay.
Okay. Okay.
I don't think you can force other people out of compliance by, well, I know that you can't do it via condemnation. You can't via condemnation force people out of compliance, but I think there's state code that involves development not forcing people out of compliance. Previous development not being forced out.
Well, it was an issue with the tenant.
Right.
And they had criteria where that facility couldn't be within so many feet of residential uses, if I remember right, was their concern. And so they were worried that this residential use would be that close and then they would lose a tenant.
I think there's code that says you can't force people out of compliance existing. Maybe the tenant's not covered in that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either, but if there was no problem, there was no problem, right?
I didn't hear back from her, so I assume she looked into it and everything's okay.
Okay.
The only thing that was my only question for you.
Okay.
The only thing I had a concern with, which I don't know that we can do anything about, is in our concept conditions, if I can find those again. Just I thought they were in there. I could have sworn they were in there. Oh, that's the CUP. Where's the concept conditions? They talked about requiring a development agreement from the city before preliminary plat.
Do you want a copy of those? I have them in front of me.
Do you have them now? Because they're not in
actually
here.
2 items I was gonna address with you. That was one of them.
Okay. Yeah, if you wanna come up, 'cause all I saw in the packet so far was just a letter from them that said, we will do it, which I didn't really like, but I knew you were gonna do it. It was just a concern because it was a condition that we put on.
Yeah, so this is a kind of a point of contention or at least discussion with the city of Pocatello. So Merrill Quell, who we've had a lot of discussion about this project with, had some reservations about doing the development agreement before the pre-plat was approved.
Okay.
So he sent the letter and I think he's talked to staff and he has no problem doing that before the final plat.
Okay.
But yeah, it was really pretty much impossible to get him to write it before pre-plat, so.
And that's kind of what I got from his letter.
Yeah.
I really didn't like it.
I know, he did, he said he will serve and that they will, obviously let us connect to water and sewer.
Okay.
We met with him twice and he's reviewed the water and sewer plan, he made recommendations on them, we went back and satisfied those and we submitted another set of plans, so he's on board and he's very involved at this point.
Okay, perfect.
And the other one was number 15 was a 15-foot wide utility easement must be outside of the right of way on both sides. And this is a lot of discussion that we had back and forth with the county and Pocatello since it's gonna be annexed in. And back to Merrill wrote a letter basically and said the city of Pocatello standards are, they can only require you to put an easement on property that you own. So we did it all down the north side, and the little triangular shaped piece that we own that we're gonna be deeding to Valentine's, we did the easement along that piece, but we can't force Dykeman, even though we plan on doing it. Or Valentine's to do a 15-foot wide easement.
And, okay, so you did 15 just on the north and then around,
That little piece that I
Around that
would
other
put
side,
on the
okay.
south, that will eventually go to Valentine's.
yeah, I see that now, okay.
But other than that, all of the conditions were met from the concept.
Okay, and that's what I saw too.
Okay.
That everything, other than those couple things that I couldn't find, but then found. So, have you seen the 12 recommended conditions for the preliminary plat? Do you have any concerns with any of those ones?
I reviewed them and I don't have them in front of me. I don't know if I need to go over them again in this meeting, but I don't think I have any concerns with them.
Okay, cause it talks about, I won't read them all, but like just making sure that the final plat states if it's a public or private road.
Yeah.
Making sure your CCNRs address certain things, providing the development agreement was one of them.
Yeah. No, those are an issue.
I'm assuming number 4, the declaration statement is just their approval of those city improvements.
That's
city
correct, the
facilities.
signature block that goes on the second page of the
Yeah,
plat.
okay.
Elise Foster subdivision planner, sorry.
And then stating which lots are gonna be what type of building on the plat.
Okay.
So whether it's a 4-plex or 2 4-plexes together kind of a thing.
Okay.
Your HOA/CCNRs addressing other common owned properties.
Isn't that a redundant one? To number 2?
Kind of, yeah. One of them is just saying that they need to address it and they're gonna be approved by staff.
One
at
of them
final
says
plats.
it's gotta be reviewed.
Gotta be,
Yeah.
CCNRs will be noted on the final plat. Which isn't a big deal, that's standard really. And then number 7 is the shared right of way and putting that instrument number on the plat.
Yeah, we have no problem doing that.
A letter from the school district talking about the proposed school bus stop location.
I have not, I didn't do that in the previous one, but I don't think there'd be an issue doing that. I can visit with them and make sure that's a good location.
And I think
Have you proposed a school bus stop?
It is on the plat, it was actually a condition of the,
it's on there, but it's in the right of way of Fifth. If you'll scroll up, right down there, school bus stop is out in the road,
No, I don't care about their kids anyway.
so.
that's how we did the one across the road, and it seems to work really well, but I have no problem visiting with the school district and making sure that's where they'd want it.
Well, that's where the bus is gonna stop and drop kids off. Right, you're not actually constructing a bus stop.
No,
They're just pulling over to the edge of the lane,
Yeah.
sidewalk or
So he's not-
curb gutter.
He's not creating
Like,
an easement for a bus stop on his property.
Exactly.
Is what,
Yeah.
that's the way I kinda read it, it just looks a little weird that it's out in the middle of the road, but that's okay.
Yeah, no problem visiting with them and making sure they understand that they're okay with it.
By ordinance, we need proof that he's had conversation with the district, whether they do or they don't want
To do
bus
that.
stop there or do, but he needs to have that conversation with them.
Okay. And then a note stating all lots are redesignated as commercial general zone. A note that says stormwater swales won't be filled. The roadside swales, is that the ones, the roadside swales, or even the on-site swales? All swales.
All
All
swales,
swales,
there are
okay.
retention ponds within this as well, so those could not be filled either.
Okay.
When you say not be filled,
Not
presumably
be,
by earth. Right.
correct,
They're-
not excavated and filled.
Correct.
If they're
Yeah,
filled
good
with water, they're
retention
doing their
That's
purpose.
exactly.
Well, this,
I wasn't quite sure. The light for a moment is off.
And then the last one is just make sure the approach meets the distance requirements per county road and bridge.
Which is interesting, cause, so it met it originally, and I met with Merrill Quell, we adjusted it, cause City of Pocatello has a longer distance from South Fifth. So I think we added another 50 feet.
But that still meets your qualifications, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay. If you're good with those, I'm good with all those. You guys have any other comments?
I do not.
Okay. Alright, let's move through, I think that's it, Jonathan, thanks. You guys ready to move through findings then? Okay. Okay. Number one, the preliminary plat is in conformance with Bannock County Planning and Development Council's approved concept plan, all applicable provisions of the Bannock County subdivision ordinance, other county ordinances and codes, and Idaho code. I'm not very good at wordsmithing without writing it down myself, but it's in conformance with the concept plan based on, concept conditions have been met. And, other county, subdivision ordinance, I don't even know how to word that. The county subdivision ordinance criteria have been met per the application.
Do you wanna say for preliminary plats, so subdivision requirements for preliminary
Yes.
plat
Yeah,
have been met?
yeah.
Do you want anything in there about it conforming to road standards,
Yeah.
lot size?
Lot size or total number of lots?
Well, it conforms to lot size with the variance that you
Right.
previously approved.
Do we need to address that now then?
And number of lots were reduced per your condition with concept. He needed an
Right.
ingress or egress in order to continue with the number of
Right.
lots, and he reduced it to 19 for this one.
Yeah, so all of our conditions at concept have been met. Right? Yeah, that's what I said, didn't I? Okay. You're
But you
making me
also
question
have
myself.
all applicable provisions of other county codes and ordinances and Idaho codes. So I didn't know if you wanted
I
to
see what you're
address
saying.
road standards, lot size, just to address all three of the topics that
Yeah.
are in that criteria.
Yeah, then I see what you're saying, okay. Yes. And no significant changes from concept to preliminary have been made. No, that's not the right word. Significant. Proposed.
Yeah, that nothing's been proposed as a change.
Yeah, that's what I meant. So I have to write it down or think through it like Chuck does. Okay.
Do you want me to read what I have?
Yeah, please.
It's in conformance with the concept plan because concept conditions have been met, subdivision requirements for preliminary plat have been met, plat conforms to lot size requirements with a previously approved variance, and road standards have been met according to current design. Additionally, there's been no significant design change between concept proposal and preliminary plat.
Perfect, thank you. Number 2, the street plan for the proposed subdivision will permit its development in accordance with the Bannock County subdivision ordinance. Street plan for the proposed. Yeah, of course it will. I know that doesn't work, but.
The roads will be built to the highway HSRDP standards, and construction plans will be reviewed at final plat. Right, but that manual references city standards.
It references that how?
It
Like it's
states,
gonna build this or city standard? Is that how
it
it
states when connecting to city services, the roads may be constructed to the city's standard that they're connecting to.
Okay.
Correct?
Yes. So can we say that it'll conform with that and city of Pocatello standard? I mean, it's kind of redundant, but. Yes, please.
Do you need to spell that out? Just Brian, yes. Yes.
Jonathan, what's the name of the new road?
Valentine
Lane. Thank you.
The road will be built to the standards outlined in the highway standards and roadway development procedures for Bannock County and the city of Pocatello standards, and construction plans will be reviewed during final plat reviews.
That works for me.
I was trying to decide anything, I was gonna leave that alone. Did great.
Okay. Number 3, the street plan for the proposed subdivision will permit the development of adjoining land by providing access to that land by right-of-way dedicated to the county or a developed street to the property boundary. The proposed street extends to the east boundary of the subdivision, providing access and future development to undeveloped land.
You may want to make a comment that the developer's proposal is to build the right-of-way and dedicate it to the public. Providing access to,
I see what you're
does that
saying.
make sense?
Yep.
Providing access to that land by right-of-way dedicated.
By dedicated right-of-way to the
public.
Yeah.
Valentine Lane extends to the east boundary of the subdivision, providing access and future development to undeveloped land. Valentine Lane is also proposed to be dedicated as public right-of-way and will be dedicated to the local jurisdiction for maintenance.
That's not what I said.
It's basically what you said. Read between the lines.
Okay. Number 4, lot lines and roads do relate to land shapes and existing development.
Actually, I'm gonna quote the document here, because I think this kind of sums it up. The road has been placed within an existing easement. Each lot appears to have a potential building site. Want that last bit?
If you want it in the finding.
Lot 18 was created due to an existing well and labeled as non-buildable lot. Well done.
And then back to your conditions.
Okay.
You want me to start this, Stuart?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Or do we want to just put them in, why don't we put them in after we make a motion of the conditions? Is that what we're doing there, is making a,
Yes.
let's just put them in there.
Yeah.
That's a good way to move.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's do
so we
that.
don't have to do them twice.
Right, that sounds good. Bart, would you make, I'll make the motion, I just gotta get to it. What number, what page is it on? Does I remember 2 something?
74.
274?
74.
No, the motion.
Oh, the motion.
221.
221, thank you.
I was at conditions, I apologize.
No, that's all right. Based on the record and discussion this evening, I move to approve the request for preliminary plat, or the preliminary plat of South Hills subdivision as described in the application materials, as supplemented with additional information attached to the staff report, and to adopt the proposed findings in order for signature by the chair or vice chair with the following conditions. One, final plat shall state right-of-way is for private use or right-of-way to be dedicated to the public. 2, proposed CC&Rs must address maintenance of all common-owned improvements to include fire hydrants, mailboxes, retention areas, and rights-of-way. The CC&Rs shall be recorded and noted by instrument number on the final plat. 3, provide executed development agreement and will serve agreement with the city of Pocatello with final plat submittal. 4, declaration statement for the city of Pocatello on final plat. 5, plat shall state that lots 1 through 6 and 10 through 17 are for fourplexes. Lots 7, 8, and 9 are for 2 fourplexes. Lot 19 shall be labeled as common area. 6, homeowners association codes, covenants, and restrictions shall address maintenance of the right-of-way until dedicated to the county, mailboxes, and all common-owned areas.
Until dedicated to the public.
Yes.
I think we should change that to.
I'm gonna change that 6, because I'm not sure Homeowners association codes, covenants, and restrictions shall address maintenance of right-of-way, mailboxes, and all common-owned areas until dedicated to the public. This shall be reviewed for approval by staff at final plat.
No, because the mailbox and.
Mailboxes and
mailboxes are
common
right,
will
right.
not be, and your
And
road's not gonna be public either, because that means the public has to maintain it. You want it to be a jurisdiction.
Homeowners association
Public.
codes, covenants, and
Public.
restrictions shall address maintenance of the right-of-way until dedicated to the
To the public,
public.
yes.
Yes.
The intent of that is to be dedicated to the county to take over maintenance of it, so they need a maintenance plan
That's saying that's the,
before
All right,
it's dedicated.
I'm just gonna
to the
read it
county.
as is.
Okay.
Homeowners association covenants and restrictions shall address maintenance of the right-of-way until dedicated to the county, mailboxes, and all common-owned areas. This shall be reviewed for approval by staff at final plat.
Okay,
Is that all
so,
right with you, Barb?
so the HOA is gonna maintain the right of way until it's dedicated to the public.
until the county takes over the right of way.
To the public, cause then it's county or city,
And it
depending
doesn't
on which
matter which
jurisdiction.
jurisdiction is made.
You can have a public road that's not maintained
Yeah.
by
Yes,
the
by
county
anyone.
or.
Well, I understand that, but they have to ask for the maintenance from that jurisdiction to take over. So until that jurisdiction takes over,
The
it's
HOA takes over.
that's what that's saying.
Maintains it.
Yeah,
That's what it's saying, the way it's written, not if you put
But-
public.
yeah,
So until dedicated to the county
the-
or city?
to the public.
Well, here's what's gonna happen, it's gonna be one or the other. And if we dedicate it to the county and it transfers to the city, then the transfer is gonna be its responsibility at the same time, and we don't need to say anything about it. Right now, we're dealing with the county, right? And so the county is who we wanna give it to.
But the plat is going to,
Leave it with the county.
the plat, if you put that, the plat will leave it with the county. The plat should say that the road is dedicated to the public, cause then the
That's what the plat's gonna
jurisdiction.
say. This condition
But-
isn't saying you're putting that on the plat. This condition is saying until it's actually dedicated to a public agency for maintenance, the HOA is responsible for maintenance.
Right, and that's what I'm saying, it doesn't matter if it says county or public right there, either way. That's the way I see it.
Is it public?
We can't dedicate it to anybody but the county. We're the county.
He can dedicate it to the public.
He can,
Yeah, and that's all we're saying there is that.
but I can require him to dedicate it to the county, right?
Oh, he's just gonna. dedicate
Okay,
it to
somebody
the
else
public.
tell me what to, somebody just tell me what to say.
I think it should
Said
say
it twice
to
already.
the, dedicated to the public, that's my personal opinion. The HOA is gonna take over or maintain the road until it's dedicated to the public.
What do you think, Barb?
All rights of way are owned by the public.
Yes.
Whether it's
Whether
jurisdiction,
it's
But
city
they're
or
not
county.
maintained by the public.
They are
Yeah.
maintained by the public through your tax base.
Public agency.
Whichever governmental jurisdiction has control of that area, so therefore it's the public. And it saves particular issues moving forward, knowing that this is moving towards annexation. Then we don't have the issue of county entity, city entity,
It'll be,
etc.
yeah, it'll be a public road until, whether it's county or city, they dedicate it for maintenance.
How about if I use the words local public agency?
Agency having jurisdiction.
That's fine.
Just leave it as county, we'll be fine.
I have said it once as county, would you like me to say it one more time?
Just leave it as county.
Okay.
Good. Move on to 7, please.
Number 7, good, I got a drink of water and a break, so that helped. Number 7, legal documents shall be executed by both parties regarding shared right-of-way recorded, and right-of-way shall be dedicated to Bannock County or City of Pocatello as appropriate. Instrument numbers shall be referenced on the plat. 8, legal documents shall be executed by both parties regarding cul-de-sac, recorded, and cul-de-sac shall be dedicated to the Bannock County or City of Pocatello as appropriate. Instrument numbers shall be referenced on the plat. 9, provide letter from School District 25 stating approval of location of proposed school bus stop. 10, plat shall state, quote, all lots are redesignated to the Commercial General Zoning District per Bannock County Zoning Ordinance 1998-1, Section 350, end quote. 11, plat shall state stormwater drainage swales shall not be filled. 12, approach must meet distance requirements per highway standards and roadway development procedures for Bannock County.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay. Roll call.
Chuck Heisler,
Yes.
Stuart Ward,
Yes.
Barbara Hill,
Motion carries 3-0. Sorry for the back and forth up here. Okay. Our last business item is a subdivision extension request for Eastwood Estates. Where's my agenda? There it is. Rick Dixon requests an extension for Eastwood Estates subdivision. The original preliminary plat approval date was April 20th, 2022. And the reason, well, based on the application, he talked about why he wants to extend it, but he has to, based on the code, he has to move on to, he has to have it recorded by April 20th or it expires, right?
That is correct. Based on when preliminary plat was approved, the plat would have to be recorded April 21st, April 21st, 2024. He's asking for a 1-year extension due to the utility companies asking for approaches not to be installed until utilities are trenched, so they don't have additional work to do. He has been working on installing this shared irrigation. I believe some of the utilities have been installed, and approaches will be installed once that is complete. Construction plans have been approved and reviewed by staff. We're just waiting for inspections of construction at this point on his application process.
Which won't happen until utilities are installed.
Correct.
Okay. Are there power lines on that side of the road? Overhead power?
The power is in, and so is the gas line. It's been trenched.
Sorry, I should have asked you to come on.
Name and address, please. Rick Dixon, 13613 West Tyhee Road, Hopewell.
So they're working on installation of the utilities, but.
No, it's all completed.
It is completed.
Yeah, but I couldn't get the approaches because of the weather. All hot plants weren't going.
Gotcha, okay.
And I might have been able to make it, but I thought I better, just in case.
Better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. But there was overhead power across
Yes.
there, and they put it all underground.
Correct.
So that's a major undertaking right there.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Nice though, nice.
Yeah, I think they like it better.
Okay.
I didn't realize Idaho Power took that long. I guess that's typical, so. I'm a rookie, I don't know that, so I thought I had plenty of time, but.
Yeah. They are, well, they probably did most of that themselves, or did they have a?
They did it, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it would take a few weeks. It took 14 months from the day I requested it until it was completed.
That sounds about right.
That's what I hear.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, but you said all the other improvements are done? Like the
Except for the
mailboxes
approaches.
and all that stuff?
The mailboxes, do you see that picture there? I went down and talked to the postal department, and they're not wanting to do the group post boxes. They want to do them.
They want to do individuals?
Right.
Okay. So is that something we need to address, because doesn't county ordinance talk about?
County ordinance talks about clusters, so if he has 2 mailboxes on one side of the approach, that could be considered a cluster, if that's what the post office has agreed can happen.
Okay. So it's not necessarily the community mail, or the neighborhood mailbox isn't required, they just need to be together?
If that's what the post office is requesting, and we typically require something in writing from the post office saying that is what they would prefer.
Try and get them to change their mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have a copy of that letter, Stuart?
I don't believe that letter from the utility company's in that packet, but it is in the application.
Okay.
From the post office?
From the post office, yes, it
You
is in
do
the
have that,
application,
okay.
yes.
Okay. And that's fine, I just was curious. So, okay. Okay, I don't have anything else. I don't have any other questions for you, but there it is. Oh, sweet. Actually, that doesn't make sense.
They thought it would be
On that road, it'd be.
backtracking, yeah.
Yeah. Cause they don't really get off the road to
Right.
serve those very well, so. Okay. You got any questions, Barb? Okay. We just have one thing for findings? Yeah. Okay. I think that's all the questions we have for you right now. Thank you. Okay. The only finding we've got, the applicant has submitted 100% of the engineering plans or has made a showing of good cause. Engineering plans have been submitted and approved, and applicant has been working on building those improvements, but due to weather and utility company delays, he cannot finish in time, so.
With the time allotted.
Yeah. And I don't think we need to put any conditions on it.
We can run on the deadline. If that language looks good. Ready?
Let's wait, have her
Oh,
bring
yeah,
it back
she's
real
got
quick.
the finding back.
Yeah.
Engineering plans have been submitted and approved. Applicant has been working on improvements, but due to weather and delays from utility companies, applicant cannot finish prior to expiration.
That sounds good.
Prior to preliminary plat expiration, maybe?
Final plat.
Preliminary plat.
The expiration of preliminary plat is what
Oh,
you're
yeah,
extending.
sorry. Yeah. Yeah, the final plat has to be recorded within 2 years of preliminary plat. Sorry. Yeah,
Any conditions?
I don't think there's any conditions.
Motion? Yeah, I can do that. I didn't notice any conditions, did anybody else?
No, there was no recommended conditions.
Based on the record and discussion this evening, I move to approve the request by Rick Dixon for an extension of deadline submittal of the final plat for Eastwood Estates subdivision as described in the application materials and is supplemented with additional information attached in the staff report, and to adopt the proposed findings and order for the signature by the chair or vice chair.
No other discussion? Roll call, please.
Chuck Heisler,
Yes.
Stuart Ward,
Yes.
Barbara Hill,
Perfect. Motion carries 3-0. You're good. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you. Till the bitter end.
Thanks for not rolling the dice.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rick.
Forgive my ignorance, but do I need to have you guys come out and see that I've done it properly, like we do when we build a house?
When you get approaches,
Gravel.
compaction done and gravel, call us before the blacktop.
Thanks, guys.
Yep, thank you. Okay, agenda number 8, items of interest. Any items of interest? No. Any upcoming hearing items?
Just an FYI, one item of interest to take that back. On Thursday, March 26th will be the next public hearing with commission for, ordinance edits. So it'll be interesting to see what it goes. And other discussion of upcoming hearing items, we have 3 scheduled for next month. All public hearing, 2 public hearings and 1 business item. And I don't have any other announcements.
Any of them contentious next month?
No.
Okay, sweet.
No.
No citizen comments, if there's no citizens here? No work session? Okay. There was, I'll think of it. There was something that I was thinking of the other day about a potential work session in the future. So when I remember it, I'll email you. Okay. Anything else from you guys? Anything, Barb? Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Meeting adjourned.